Hi, welcome to my channel and to my video on how to get started with Salesforce and Trailhead. My name is Carlos Alejandro Gallardo, and as of this video, I'm currently a Salesforce Technical Business Analyst at Europe in downtown Boston. In this video, I'll be showing you how to get started in creating your first Salesforce Developer Edition org, and from there on, how to get you started into Trailhead, which is Salesforce's free learning platform. Let's go ahead and get started. First off, we need to go to this website. The link to the website, it's down in the description of the video, but it is developer.salesforce.com/signup. Once you've reached this website, go ahead and provide some of your key data points, such as your first name and your last name, in order to get started to get you into your first Developer Edition org. What's a Developer Edition org, you might ask? A Developer Edition org is an environment, your own personal environment, where you'll be doing anything that you would like to do. Normally, either you can do stuff as being a Salesforce user or being a Salesforce administrator. But it's essential in order for you to get acclimated with what it means to be a Salesforce administrator or just a Salesforce user. Again, you're not going to be doing any development necessarily, but this is just a free playground where you can get started and learn more about Salesforce. As mentioned, go ahead and provide your first name and your last name. Provide your email. I always recommend providing a frequently used email. So go ahead and insert that. For role, go ahead with administrator. There's a couple of other roles here, such as developer and architect, but if you're getting started with Salesforce, go ahead and select administrator. A note here would be that depending on what you select, it's not going to change your experience whatsoever. So go ahead with what you feel most comfortable with. For company, don't put the name of the company that you work for. Put something a little bit more creative. Come up with your own personal company name. For purposes of time, I'm just going to go ahead and select test company. For country, I live in the United States, so I'm going to select United States. If you live in another country, go ahead and select from the dropdown. Postal code, this is my postal code. And for username, we're going to go ahead and provide a unique username. As you can see, it's in the format of an email, so it has the @ sign and it has the .com at the end. But you can literally use anything. I normally recommend going with your first name and last name at dev1.com. The dev1 represents that it's your first development environment. This is not my first development environment, but just go ahead and put that if you feel comfortable. If you want to put anything else, be my guest. But I would not recommend using your email, just because if you want to use your email in another environment, you won't be able to do so. So come up with something custom. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have more questions about the username, go ahead and provide a comment down below in the video, and I'll go ahead and respond given time. Last thing, let's check this checkbox, just so that we're following the terms of agreement and the master subscription agreement. Again, Salesforce is not going to email you to sell you like the product Salesforce, but they will go ahead and send you some marketing emails, nothing too crazy. If you want to unsubscribe, you can certainly unsubscribe. Now that we have entered all of our information, double check it and go ahead and click sign me up. It's going to come up with this loading, and ta-da, it's saying that you're almost there. Now you need to go check your email. If you go to your emails, you should have received a thanks for signing up with Salesforce. In the email itself, you'll see your username that you use. For example, me, it's carlosagallardo@dev.com. And just go ahead and click verify account. Once you click on that link, it's going to take you to another website to confirm that carlosagallardo@dev.com is your username, and you're going to have to declare your password, completely new password. As always, if you have a password management tool such as LastPass or others, go ahead and use it. But if you want to use a password that you commonly use, you're also more than welcome to do so. Just be careful. I'm going to go ahead and declare a password for myself here. As you can see, it needs to meet 8 characters with 1 letter and 1 number. Nothing too complex. Once you submit both your passwords, it's going to say that it's good to go, and then it's also going to you need to confirm it one more time, and it's going to ask you for a match. If it does match, it's going to look just like this, with green highlight around the boxes. You're going to say in what city were you born, and you're going to provide an answer. Just for security reasons, I'm going to do this off screen. Once you do so, click the Change Password button. And once it's loading, it's going to let you into your, again, Salesforce Developer Edition environment. For notifications, set allow or block, whatever you think is best. This is if you're going to get any notifications coming from Salesforce Lightning. More on Salesforce Lightning in a bit. Go ahead and click allow. Here it's going to tell you about welcome to Lightning Experience. Basically, Lightning Experience is the way that Salesforce is changing their user interface to allow for a more nicer user experience, if you will. If you want to learn more about it, every time that you log in, it'll come up with take it for a spin, find your way around, get your bearings, become a Lightning Experience Pro. If this is helpful, check the thumbs up or the thumbs down. For now, we're going to go ahead and close this. So we're done. We have just created our first Salesforce Developer Edition environment. This environment, as I mentioned earlier, is for you to get to know what a Salesforce administrator would do or what a Salesforce end user would do. We're in the setup menu. So the setup menu is where the Salesforce administrator comes and to make changes in the back end of Salesforce, such as configuration changes. More on that later. If you want to get to the front end, you're going to click on the app launcher. If you scroll over, you'll see that it'll highlight over. A box with app launcher will come up. And if we click on it, it'll take us where we can go. Go ahead and select the Sales app right here. And once you arrive, this is what Salesforce for an end user would look like. They would have access to their home tab, opportunities, leads, task, etc. If we want to go back to the setup menu, we follow this gear. If we hover over it, it'll tell us it's the setup menu. If we click on it, it'll take us to setup or service setup, developer console, or edit page. More on these later, but let's go back to setup. It opens a new tab, and this new tab takes us back to the setup menu that we initially arrived at. Nothing too complex. Again, this is Salesforce Lightning. Just so that you're aware of, there's 2 interfaces. Again, Salesforce Lightning is the preferred user experience module, if you will, of Salesforce. And there's also what is called Salesforce Classic. To go to Salesforce Classic, scroll over to the top right to see our little friend here, Astro. Astro is a Salesforce character that you'll get acquainted to. If you click on it, it'll give you your information. And if you scroll down, you'll see switch to Salesforce Classic. If you click on that, it'll take us to what is called Salesforce Classic. It's what Salesforce used to look like. At some companies, people might still be using Salesforce Classic, but Salesforce recommends that everybody moves over to Salesforce Lightning Experience. Lightning Experience came about in 2015, so it's pretty recent as of this video in 2018. To go back to Salesforce Lightning Experience, there's a button here called Switch to Lightning Experience, and if you click on it, it takes you right back. So now we're almost halfway there. As mentioned, we created our Salesforce Developer Edition environment, or org, and now we need to go ahead and create our Trailhead account. The way that we're going to create our Trailhead account is using our Salesforce credentials, which we declared by creating our Salesforce Developer Edition environment/org. As you can see, I've been using the word environment/org. These are just the same word that you can use for explaining what this is. We're inside of a Salesforce environment or org. I think for the rest of the video, I'll go ahead and just say org because it's quicker and simple. Now, let's go ahead and create our Trailhead account. To do that, we have to go to trailhead.salesforce.com. I will add a link to trailhead.salesforce.com in the description below. Once we're here, we see that it welcomes us to Trailhead. It is the fun way to learn Salesforce, and it truly is the fun way to learn Salesforce. It is 100% free, and it has a lot of good things to learn about what Salesforce can help you with. There's a Home tab, a Trails tab, a Modules tab, Projects tab, Trail Mixes, Credentials, Trailblazers. We'll cover more about these tabs in a separate video, but for now, let's go ahead and create our Trailhead account. Let's go to the Sign Up green button on the top right. As mentioned, this is our friend Astro. Again, Salesforce character. There's many of them. And he's asking us how we would like to get started with Trailhead. We can sign up with a Salesforce environment, Salesforce or credentials, as I mentioned, Google or LinkedIn. Let's go ahead and sign up with Salesforce, as we already have those credentials, and it should be pretty simple. Once we click on the blue button, it's going to take us to a login page. This login page looks a little different for me, just because I have other Salesforce environments. But if I click on the login with a different username, it should take you to it looks like what you should arrive to. Put in your username. Mine was Carlos A. Gallardo at dev1.com. And I'm going to provide my password. If you want to select the Remember Me, you are more than welcome to do so. Once you've provided your username and your password, again, these are the same credentials that you use when creating your Salesforce Developer Edition environment/org, go ahead and click Login. This prompt will come up. It's asking to allow access. There's nothing to be worried about. It's just saying that we need the Salesforce developers application to give access within Trailhead. It's going to confirm that this is your username, which it should be, and click Allow. Once it's done loading, it's going to say, welcome, Carlos. Let's learn something new today. You have successfully created your first Trailhead account, and it should be your only Trailhead account. The reason that it should be your only Trailhead account is that if in the future you create a new Trailhead account, you should be able to merge them, but it should be your only one because as soon as you start earning badges or points, then you always want to come back here to keep accumulating your badges and your points. You do not want to have two Trailhead accounts where you're collecting badges and points in separate locations. If you do, there's a way to connect both your Trailhead accounts, but again, I recommend only having one. So remember, use your Salesforce credentials and password that you just created to log into your Trailhead account. Let's go into our settings. If we go to the top right again, we will see our friend Astro. And if we click on him, we'll see our profile, our settings, and our favorites. If we go to settings, you'll be able to see that your Salesforce login with your username is the main Salesforce login that you use to come into your Trailhead account. And as I mentioned previously, if you, for some reason or another, do create another Trailhead account with a completely different username, or whether it was through LinkedIn or Google, you can go ahead and connect and merge them. But hopefully you haven't created a second one, so you don't have to go through this step. Now, we're not done quite yet. We need to do one last step, and that step is to create our Salesforce hands-on org. What is a Salesforce hands-on org? Well, when you go and use Trailhead and complete a module, each module will have units. Each unit, at the end of the unit, will have either a quiz or a hands-on challenge. If it's a quiz, go ahead and complete the quiz. Nothing to worry about. If you complete the quiz successfully the first time, you'll get 100 points. If you fail the first time and do complete it successfully the second time, you'll get 50 points. If you fail the second time, but do successfully complete it the third time, you'll get 25 points. And if you keep failing, no worries. Keep trying again, and you'll eventually earn those 25 points. Now, if it's not a quiz, as mentioned, it's a hands-on challenge. A hands-on challenge is a way to complete a Salesforce challenge within your Salesforce Developer Edition or your Trailhead Playground, which we'll talk about in a little bit, in order to complete what the challenge is asking you to do. The challenge might be asking you to maybe create a accounts record in Salesforce, or create a user, or make any sort of configuration changes within your Salesforce environment. Once you complete the challenge, then it'll ask you to check the challenge. And when you check the challenge, it's going to go back into your Salesforce environment to check if you have completed the challenge correctly. And that's why we need our developer edition orgs in order to complete these challenges as if you were a real life Salesforce administrator. Because we already have our developer edition org, we need to go ahead and connect it. So let's do just that. Let's click on the connect an org button. And Salesforce will come up again asking to insert our credentials. Again, because I have several other Salesforce environments, mine comes up like this, but yours should come up something like this. So go ahead and submit it again. Don't be scared. This is normal standard process. I'm going to go ahead and provide my information one more time. And click login. Another allow access prompt is going to come up. Again, same as before. It's going to telling us that a new app called Trailhead Connected app is asking for permission into your Salesforce environment. Verify that this is your Salesforce environment. In my case, it's giving me back my username, which is correct. And if it's not, just click not you and provide the information that is you. In this case, it is me, so we go ahead and allow. Nothing to be worried about here. This is normal standard process. It's going to refresh, and it's going to say, want to connect this org for hands-on challenges? The answer to this is a simple yes, save it. If you're really curious, what we're doing here is that we're saying, okay, I have my Salesforce Developer Edition org, and I want to connect it to my Trailhead account so that I can do hands-on challenges in that environment. Because we're creating a completely new Developer Edition org, and we're doing this process from scratch, you should not worry about any of this. A big FYI that I will give is that if someone is watching this video that works at a company in which you have a Salesforce if you have Salesforce username and password, be very careful with this. You do not want to connect your company's actual environment as a hands-on challenge because you will not be able to make any changes. You should not be able to make any changes. And if you do, it's going to create huge issues. So if you're starting from scratch and you're following step by step, then you should be fine. But if you're using your company's username and password, then I would be very careful with what you're going to do next. Again, this is just an FYI. If you're ready to proceed, just go ahead and click yes, save it. It refreshes and it brings us back to our settings menu. And you should be ready to go here. In your settings menu, you have your Salesforce hands-on orgs, and it confirms that you have connected your Carlos A. Gallardo at dev1.com Salesforce environment to your Trailhead account. I normally recommend people to go ahead and click on the little pencil and label this as my first developer org and click save. It's just a neat reminder to remember that this was your very first developer org. Another FYI that I would like to give is that in the next 24 hours or 48 hours, another environment should get created. That environment is a Trailhead playground. Once it gets created, go ahead and click on the pencil and say Trailhead Playground. Normally, it will already have this, and normally this Trailhead Playground should be created in 24 to 48 hours. If it doesn't, I recommend you creating your own Trailhead Playground. Now, you might be asking, why am I creating a new Trailhead Playground if I already have my Developer Edition connected? The reason is that you should always have at least two orgs in which you're completing hands-on challenges. And these hands-on challenges will come in useful to have two different orgs. There's going to be reasons that you'll take into consideration later as you start to get familiar with Salesforce. But for now, you only have one. Come back in 24 to 48 hours, and if there isn't one, go ahead and create a new one. The way that you create a new one is that you need to go to a specific unit, and let me show you how you do that. Let's go ahead and search for data security. This is one of my favorite modules to complete. Go ahead and select Control Access to Records. This is actually one of my favorite units to complete. I'll cover more about how to go about completing a unit later in a different video. But for now, let's go to the very bottom to the challenge. You can scroll down or you can click the challenge button. Here, let's scroll a little bit more and we'll see that at the very bottom there's a check challenge to earn 500 points, and right above it there is my first developer org. If you recall, this is the org that I had just connected. You can complete the challenge here, or you can create a Trailhead playground. If in the next 24 to 48 hours a Trailhead playground is not created from your settings menu, you can go ahead and come here to the Control Access to Records unit within the Data Security module and click Create a Trailhead Playground. And when you go back to your settings, the new Trailhead playground will be created. Again, I always recommend having at least 2 different environments in which you can complete challenges. The first one being your developer edition, which we created at the beginning of this video, and your second one being your Trailhead playground. Again, recommendation, but if you feel comfortable with just having one, then more power to you. Something else to know is that once you're here, if you click launch, it'll launch over to your Salesforce developer edition, which is exactly where we were before. Again, the setup menu within the Lightning experience, and you can go to the front end, going to App Launcher, and you can also go to Classic, so on and so forth. Let me close this tab. Let me scroll back up. Let me go to click on my little Astro friend and go to settings. So this is what your settings should look like. You should have your one hands-on or connected. If you come back in 24 to 48 hours and you see 2, meaning that you'll have your developer edition, your Trailhead playground, then you're good to go. And then you have your one Salesforce login credential, which would also help you get ready to go. Finally, if you go to profile, you'll be able to edit your profile and you'll be able to see a couple more things, such as how many badges you have, how many points you have, how many trails you have completed, your ranking, and so much more. You'll also see an About Me section. If you click on the pencil, you'll be able to modify your About Me section and provide some more details about yourself. Go ahead and fill this in, as more people in the Trailhead community can see your specific details from your Trailhead account. You can also go ahead and click and submit an image. If you click, it'll open up your file directory, and you can select which picture you want to have in your Trailhead account. That is all. We have created your first Salesforce Developer Edition environment, and using the credentials from that Salesforce Developer Edition environment, we have been able to create your first Trailhead account. Again, hopefully your first and only. As I mentioned earlier, if you have 2, you can merge them, but you should only have 1. And in that one Trailhead account, you should have all your badges and all your points. I wish you luck in moving up into the ranks from hiker. The next step would be explorer. You start as a scout, you complete your first batch, you become a hiker, you complete 5 more badges, you become an explorer, and so on and so forth until you become a ranger. If you go up to 200 badges, you become a double ranger. If you go to 300 badges, you become a triple ranger. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of badges, and there's even people out there, I think, that are 5-time rangers, which is a huge achievement. Overall, welcome to Trailhead, and welcome to the world of Salesforce. There is a long journey for you to continue on, and I wish you the best. Again, my name is Carlos Alejandro Gallardo, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye now.